Welcome to another episode of the Way of BJJ podcast. This is a special episode that is PG, so make sure to listen to this around your kids. This is family-friendly entertainment. Let's go. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Way of BJJ podcast. Now it's back to me and Tuna, just the two of us.
Ooh, something, try. Is this Sky or try?
I don't know, man.
Yeah.
But Sky rhymes with try, so
yeah.
whatever.
I'm Filipino, I never get those shit right.
But
that
you
sounds,
have
it sounds the same.
You have the, but you have the FCS syndrome, though.
Oh yeah, I can't sing for shit.
Filipino. I can't sing.
That's a better syndrome than to actually have the other one. I Googled it. That's one of the people who like it.
Yes. So before we continue,
Yeah.
right? So as a reminder, my daughter asked me to make a special episode so that she can listen to it. Because as you know, we have unfiltered conversations that's highly inappropriate and usually with a lot of vulgar, content. So today we're gonna switch it up. I would love my daughter to be able to listen to this episode.
Yeah, she can.
Yeah, so this is going to be extremely appropriate. So just make sure you listen with this with your kids. There will be nothing inappropriate. I can guarantee that, right? Can we do that, Tuna?
Sure.
You think so?
Easily. I can do it. Can you do it?
Yes, I'm going to be on my best behavior.
I teach kids class. I'm unhinged, but when I need to be hinged, I'm there.
Yeah, and since we want kids to be listening to this episode, so what better topic than talking about kids and jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Because you are also a kids class instructor, teaching out of the Way of BJJ Academy, right? And we have a pretty cool and robust kids program that's going on right now. And not to mention, you also had lots of extensive experience teaching at 10th Planet, a few years ago
Kids,
for
yeah.
Nabil, right? Kids classes, right?
And then, surprisingly enough, it helps, but I taught like improv and theater sports to kids too.
Oh, that's
So
there
just
you
as
go.
anything, just kid managing
Yeah,
kids.
that's right. Yeah, so I mean, Tuna is so good with kids. Like I can.
Where's that coming from?
What?
That's how she.
What was that?
Oh, someone's downstairs or?
I don't know, but anyways, yeah.
Yeah.
That was odd. Yeah, well, there you go. So where were we? So I was gonna say yes, because Tuna is so good with kids. We have had so many of our parents, texting me in the, in the middle of, just out of the blue, saying like how appreciative they are of Tuna and how good he is with the kids. So because since we still don't have any sponsors, so I guess this is the time to say, hey, if you got any kids, anywhere between the age of 4 to 15, we have different classes for different ages. So bring them over to
Send them here.
Way of BJJ Academy. Try a class. First class is free. Yeah, and if they love it, because with kids, I believe that it's so important for them to try it because they have to love it in order to do it, right? So it makes no sense to like force them to do it, and then only for them to resent you later.
Yes.
Yeah. So bring them out. Try it out, and since we're on this subject, make sure you share our episode with other people. Encourage other people to listen to our Way of BJJ podcast. Subscribe to us, follow us, and let's spread the love, because love conquers all. So cheesy. All right, cool. So let's start talking about our discussion. Like, why do you feel like it's so important for kids to actually do jiu-jitsu specifically? Because I know you're gonna say, yeah, any martial art is good, but why do you believe jiu-jitsu should be one of their first options?
I think jiu-jitsu because it's natural. Because when we were kids, what did we do with our brothers, sisters, or friends? We wrestled. We had no rules.
Yes.
But we always kind of like fought for stuff.
Yes.
And so when I'm teaching kids and even adults, like my first thing I want to do if they're new is I want to like get their natural stuff out. That's why some people hate me. They'll be like, just get out and then do what you naturally can. Like I don't know what to do. Just listen to your heart. I would tell them, and they would get mad at me. But my point for that is like, I want them to fail or succeed, but I want them to like express themselves fully first with what they know.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
No, it makes so much sense because I remember I grew up with an older brother.
Yeah.
And he's like the best older brother ever, you know, because he would never, unlike like a lot of the other older brothers I've heard about where they pick on their little brothers, you know, they beat them up and stuff
Yeah.
like that. He has never done that. He has always been like a protector kind of.
Yeah.
But I'm the one who always picks the fight, you know, because I'm the spoiled little brat.
Yeah.
Right? I'm the one who picks the fight, and he would naturally mount me and just pin my arm to the ground and say, hey, I don't want to hurt you. I'm your little brother. I'm here to, I'm
Yeah.
looking out for you, but this
That's
is enough,
natural.
man.
That's
Yeah.
good control,
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean? It makes sense. People naturally know that you can sit on their stomach and you can pin their hand down.
And bypass the most dangerous weapon of a little kid.
Yeah, their feet.
Those crazy little kicks.
Yeah, but here's the thing too. So people naturally kind of, or some people more than most, right?
Right.
We have the ability to just like naturally grapple. Same with kids. So my goal is just to find them and empower them, let them know that they have the ability. Because sometimes I'm even teaching adults too, right? Not just kids, but like, I find that like I had to give them permission to use common sense.
Yeah, because adults is that, we're so conditioned to think we have to learn it and do it in the right way.
Yeah,
right.
And you don't want to make a mistake, but no, you're allowed to use your balance. You're allowed to like, hey, if I'm gonna fall there and say like, oh, no, I stay there, you can put your hand down, you know, and then reposition yourself.
Yeah, because
right?
I think there's a common phenomenon in jiu-jitsu where when you first came in as a white belt and you don't know any better, then you're actually really hard to sweep because you haven't learned about, oh, it's okay to get on my back. Right, so a lot of the sweeps, if they're not done correctly, it wouldn't work on you.
Yeah, because they don't want.
As soon as they learn the correct way to do jiu-jitsu, then they start accepting sweeps.
Yeah.
Right, so we
they
see that
shouldn't.
sometimes they shouldn't.
Yeah. Unless you're specifically working on your sweep yourself, then you have to get swept to sweep them back. Right. But I know what you're saying. Some of them they're not. They don't want to get swept, but they do.
Yeah, because how many times have we experienced that? Like some really athletic beginner comes in and they have no notion of what are the right reactions.
Yeah, and then you put your weight on you.
And then you will find them quite tough to deal with, as opposed to like a seasoned blue belt that gives you all the right responses. Then you're like, okay, you know, I know exactly how to counter that, and I know exactly how to work that to my advantage, right? So
because they've accepted some stuff as well.
Right. So I think you're absolutely right, especially teaching kids. Right. I think depending on the age of the kids, right? Like let's say if a kid is like anywhere between 4 to 8 years old, they're not gonna sit there and listen to you going, okay,
put your hand
step
here.
1, put your hand here.
Yeah.
No, watch this, right? This detail is very important. They're not gonna listen to that.
You know, my goal is just to come up with games so that they have fun with it, right? And that's a problem too. Like, in the end, it's all about gaining rapport in the beginning, right? Because if they don't want to be here, you know, they're just forced to be here. They're not going to do anything.
Yeah, that's true.
And then if they're not going to do anything, that's just more energy taken from you, right? Because you can't just ignore them, or you know, you want them. It just gets you, and then there's more energy not for everybody. So it's kind of like a weird. You got to have rapport, gain, you know. Make sure the class is fun, for me at least. And it doesn't have to be like that. Maybe some people can get away with just like being strict or whatnot. Personally, for me, I just never learned from those teachers. So I just try to be the teacher that like I would learn a lot from.
Yeah. So our regular listeners can already tell that even though we are keeping everything super PG today, but we're still sticking to what we do. We're completely off topic already.
Yeah.
Right. The first question is why is jiu-jitsu the best for kids to learn? And then we go on.
No, it is
because
we talked about natural. Because,
I know.
Because natural. So we're going to take back to that. Because naturally, jiu-jitsu is it's natural. It's what we naturally do, and then might as well like add on to that. And then as kids, you know, you want them applicable, right? Like if your little kid had a bully, and then they go punch or whatever right away, it's not gonna do much. If you want to think about like martial arts kind of way for kids, right? It's like a kid's punch will never be hard or whatever. So it's going to be hard for them to defend themselves in school by like kicking, punching, karate stuff.
Yeah.
But like if a bully picks on a kid and that kid just like sweeps them or trips them or take them down, get their back, mounts them.
Yeah. You know what? That is such
especially for the young ones, right? That's what's going to happen,
because
right?
Because it's actually the reality of things nowadays, right? We have recently we have had so many kids joining because they were having bullying issues in school. So one of our kids. Parents told me the story, like, hey, the kid learned some jiu-jitsu, and then he was able to turn a bullying situation into holding the other person down,
Yeah,
putting
not hurting them,
putting the kid in an Americana about not breaking the arm, but just say, hey, Joe, you know what, I'm gonna let you go, but just don't pick on me again, right?
Yeah.
And then guess what? They actually became really good friends after that, you know?
There's something about, that's why I love jiu-jitsu. Here's another reason too, also sticks with the same thing. Not only is this natural and why kids should do it, because jiu-jitsu, you get to spar right away. That's fun thing for adults and kids.
Right.
I didn't want to learn a martial arts and just learn a whole bunch of stuff that I can't use.
Yeah.
Right?
Too deadly.
Yeah.
You can.
So why do you learn it?
This
You
is so
can't use
awesome,
it.
but you can never use it on anybody.
Right?
I'm
But
like,
jiu-jitsu, you go to class, you roll right away, man. With the kids, we get them to go at it. You
Yeah.
know? There's some stuff we turn into games, but when they're aware of it, then we get them to roll. And then it's important because then they learn about losing. Some of them will cry, right? But then we're gonna have to make them lose some more and understand that's part of life. And there's nothing wrong with losing.
Yeah.
And actually, if you lose in a controlled environment right here, you actually get better. Well, I also want to teach them that too. You can get better if you're aware of it and you choose to get better. But if we just accept it and choose not to get better, then that's on us.
yeah.
That's why kids with jiu-jitsu is great. They get to use it right away in a physical sense, and then it's enjoyable, and in a self-defense manner, it's the best one for the kids when they're being bullied, right?
Yeah.
I don't care how black karate, taekwondo they are. Like a little kid, like that's like a weird kicking king, all that stuff. Another kid would just hug him. So wrestling or jiu-jitsu or wrestling would actually be good for kids.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that, and I think you hit the nail on the head about learning, like especially nowadays, right? How many of the kids are like constantly on some kind of device, right? Like, there's a few kids that of my friends that I'm obviously not gonna name or whatever, but it would be like it's so hard for kids to even acknowledge you when they see you. Right? In the olden days, back in Asia, back home, whatever, right? When you see an elder, it's like, hey, you
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you have to like bow, you have
Just
to
in
greet.
general, even
right?
the younger generation
but
working
now,
at Starbucks right now.
But but now, right? The kids, they don't make eye contact. They don't even acknowledge you when you try to talk to them. They don't even know what to say to you.
Yeah,
right?
they lack
So,
basic kind of like social
interpersonal,
politeness or
just zero interpersonal skills whatsoever.
Yes.
And I think jiu-jitsu, aside from the fact that it allows them to not become being bullied, to develop their own sense of physicality, but it also forces them to, hey, when I'm in class, I'm looking at Coach Tuna, and Coach Tuna is talking to me. I have to acknowledge him. I have to learn how to do a conversation. And then when I'm training with other kids, we have to learn to communicate, like what's working, what's not working. What are we having fun? Are we, all those social interaction skills that, like frankly, the younger generation are sorely lacking. Yeah.
And that's the thing too. That's why I love jiu-jitsu or martial arts for kids, because it's another place for them to make friends, right? Usually, if your kids are getting bullied, it's maybe they don't have friends at school, right? Or they don't have the right support, and that's usually the reason why, right? But if they do martial arts, they'll just meet friends here, and then they'll just do it. They'll just get comfortable with violence. Like it's nothing to them. So when someone like throws that to them, they won't even get phased or even get mad. They're just like, ah.
They'll be like, oh, you want to play?
Yeah.
Okay. It's a game. It's a game,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
It's a game to them.
We're still new here, but I have some, when I was like teaching at Titan, and then some of those kids still stuck around and they're like, I'm so proud of them now. They're like, there's so many of them. Like we had like 2 brothers. They were kind of like nerdy. Now they're like, I've talked to them, they're like 14, like, how's school? You get picked up? No. Like they get like, no, I just do what I want, because they're confident, right? They're like, nothing phases them because they're in this a lot. And they also have like friends that like, that they meet there. And parents, here's the thing. I've noticed some parents are kind of like a little too strict. Like, oh, I say in my class because I wanted to learn martial arts, but I don't want Jimmy partnering up with this because they talk around too much. But actually, like it's I want to say until they reach like a certain age, those kids talking around is much more important than that kid not liking that martial arts.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
Because,
I get it,
because
yes.
what's the point of getting them to learn all this technique if they're like secretly kind of hate it because they can't be with their friend?
Yeah. So you know
I
what?
would
That's-
rebel like that too.
Yeah, no,
so,
that's
so
really
what's
good.
the point then of making them go hard? They're gonna forget about it. I would rather at the early stage, instead of teaching them the ultimate technique, I would rather teach them to love the environment that they're in, and then to love the love their teammate, and then just want to be here. If they want to be here, the technique will just come, right?
Right,
And
right.
if they're the student that you think will be in that level, and then I'll spend a little bit more time with them, not during class, but after class, and give them time on their own, right?
Yes.
Maybe I'm just like this too. I notice I'm like the worst when it comes to like the specially talented kids. I don't have problem giving them attention outside, and I do, but in class, they're like everyone else.
Yes, that is the right way to do it, you know?
I'm like this because I was those kid that had the biggest ego in high school, right? I would always joke around. I believed in myself. I was fat, but I believed in I just believed in myself, right? So I did drama and theater, and I noticed my drama teachers would never give me the lead roles. And like, what the fuck? What the?
Oh man, we were doing so
We're doing
well.
so good. What the
Jeez.
Jesus?
And it wasn't me.
It was me this time. But I was doing so well. Like, no, it wasn't doing well. But anyways, they would never give me the main role because it would feed my ego. And it would, right? And if I had it that time, it would get to my head. And then my instructors would give it to somebody who they need. Because we're not a professional play, right? We're doing a play or we're making a play and doing stuff, you know, not to like, oh, I made a great play. We're in high school. You're doing this to empower and teach kids stuff, right?
Yeah.
Either A, those kids will never do drama again. They're not, a lot of them are not going to be professionals. But stuff like this will just empower them. You know, if they're shy, now they have a little bit of like, oh, I can be on stage, I can open up. I never had that problem, right? So they did, you know, my lesson that my teacher had to give me was restraint,
Right.
control of myself, right?
Right.
So because of that, they would give me small parts. I would kill it. I would do my best with it, right? And do the best part, and then empower other people with that.
Yeah.
And I think that style kind of stuck with me. And then,
Yeah.
but then because of that, I might get turned off. I'm not focusing on the kid enough, but I would, and I will. It's just that when in a group class, like in a regular class, you know, first of all, that the talented kid would already beat everyone up. So there's really no point for me like coaching them, right? I'm going to coach everyone else to kind of survive from that talented kid. But also, I want everyone else to get better because I want that talented kid to have a pool of like
Tough competition.
tough
to
competition,
make it even better, right?
Right?
Yeah.
If they just keep killing them, then like the best way to help that talented kid is in a class is to make that class better. And then when you have time, you then make time with the talented, give them one-on-one on their own, and give them instructions that the other kids won't care about.
Yeah. You know that is so fair, right? You know, so I think that leads to two very interesting questions because there are mostly two types of parents, right? So I mean, obviously there are a lot of different type of parents, but there are kind of two extremes, and then people kind of fall on that spectrum, right? So you got one side of the parents that goes, hey, I just want little Jimmy to be here to get fit, but I don't want him to become too violent. I'm
Yes.
afraid that if he learns this and he starts like bullying other kids, what happens? What would you say to that?
Well, I'd say like if they go to our gym, if they're good, the first thing I would teach them is just to be humble, right? And then to help everybody. If they're good, first thing I'm gonna do is teach them to be a role model and to empowering get all the other kids better. And then just that alone is gonna take them from wanting to be bullied. Because they're gonna be, if they're powerful and you let them know they're powerful and you give them an environment to grow that, they don't need to impose that power over them. They'll walk differently. Kids only do that because they don't have an avenue to test their power.
Yeah.
And then so they don't know. It actually works for adults. That's why before I did martial arts, I thought I was the toughest kid ever. Person. Because I saw Matrix. And if somebody messes with me, all I have to do is jump in the air and pause. And the camera will go around me. And then when I'm ready, I'm gonna kick my opponent. He's gonna fly in the air. That's what I genuinely believe. And I bet you, like not exactly that detailed, but 99 people believe that. Like not exactly like that, but they genuinely believe they are tougher than they are.
Yes.
Because they have never tested it.
Yes.
And they go to jiu-jitsu, then they got the nerd beating them up, but the nerd is nice about it. And then the nerd goes, hey, you know what? If you stick with it, you can beat other people up too.
Yeah.
But not me, because I got an early start.
Yeah, I think 99% of men, had the same delusion.
Yeah, a lot of people are tough. And then once they do that, and that's why like people like jiu-jitsu is great. There's a filter. If they can't get over their ego, they quit.
Right.
If they do, they don't become as bully anymore, unless they're naturally good. Then they become, but if not, because they understand the step of getting good. And then they learn that they can lose and respect others.
Yeah, but you're so right.
Same thing for kids.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, a kid will only become a bully because they have no other way to feel powerful.
Yeah, and they
right?
don't know it, so
Right.
they have to test it.
Yeah,
right?
but when they're in an environment where they're constantly feeling empowered, then
Yeah.
there's really no need.
And
right?
and it's all for the coach too, right? Like it sounds so cheesy. Like in the beginning, I used to want to create world champions.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah, no, joke. And I think like I did like when I worked for Titan. Well, there's a kid Severio, but I didn't do it. Severio's just naturally champion himself. No matter what school he goes to, he's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Right?
Shout out
Shout out
Severio.
Severio.
Keep doing what you're doing. Stay
Yeah.
humble.
And then there's just like some kids like, I think I helped get there. Like one of my kids I'm proud of, like Nicholas, right? We went to competed in San Francisco and did all that, right? And I love it, great experience, But now like, I'm thinking about the whole site, like in the end, it's just like, what do I want? Do I want like a whole bunch of like world champions? Because the way I look at it, it's like, we didn't really get there. We got there, I guided Nicholas, but Nicholas was talented himself. I could have been out of that picture, and then another person who just had enough knowledge would have been there, that Nicholas just had to like him, and he would have been able to take Nicholas that level. I remember having a conversation with Atos from I think Vernon or something like that. He said something like that really got to me. He goes, yeah, it's the same thing. He goes, you know what, you can't really get that to your head. Because no matter what school that kid goes to, he's just gonna be good and champion, We were just fortunate enough that they were to use our path to get there, right? So realizing that, okay, boom, okay, then where do I want to focus on stuff, right? I still want to take guys over there, but I'm not going to force everybody. That just says that if they want to get there, they'll get there. I just have to open doors and opportunities for them. So generally for a class, what do I want now, right? And then I ask, well, some of them are going to do jiu-jitsu, hopefully, until they grow up. Some of them are not. Then how do I if they're not going to do it, then how do I make this as valuable for them in the long run?
Right, because it's not just about jiu-jitsu, right?
It's not just about jiu-jitsu. And then what a waste of time for them if you just make it just about jiu-jitsu. So the key thing is I want to give a good experience for them to have fun. I want them to have fun with their friends around, right? And I want to just like empower them. It sounds so cheesy. Everyone's make fun of me, but I tell them like, hey, look, I'm going to cry, but it's important. What you're doing is hard. I want to tell kids that. And not everyone can do it, but you're doing it. Because they cry too. Like, but you're doing it. And I want you to remember that. Because whatever it is in life, you can do that. It doesn't just have to be jiu-jitsu. So my goal is not to create jiu-jitsu champion, but life champion.
Yes. Let's do this. Yeah.
If they quit jiu-jitsu, I want like something subtle from their like 2 to 4 years that I was fortunate enough to like mold them. Not mold them, but like, hopefully guide them in the right direction. And then I want to teach them kindness, confidence, and I want to teach them that life is not fair. That some kids are gonna be bigger than us, right? Some stuff is just not gonna be fair. But we just have to learn how to be strong and understand that even though it's not fair, we have the skill to overcome it, right? Like I don't want to go, who's the weakest person in our class, and we're going to take everybody and not surpass that weakness and not make them insecure. I'm going to get everyone strong. I'm going to take that last person. I'll be like, hey, look, everyone's ahead of you. But that's okay, because if we keep going for it, we are going to be strong like them. We don't have to make them not as strong as us, so we don't have to feel uncomfortable. I would rather take that last kid and make them feel uncomfortable, but help overcome that than protect them from that.
Yeah.
So, I want life champions, and then that's my goal. If I can get a little bit of this, if they can take anything, Tuna taught me I can overcome anything.
Oh yeah, you're really about to cry. Well said, man. Well said. Well said. And ChatGPT didn't even help you with that.
Yeah, or they did, and I memorized it. I did acting. It was all a plot. I had a monologue.
Oh man, and I think you already answered the other spectrum, right? Because I was gonna say the other spectrum would be parents pushing the kids too hard.
That's easy.
Already
That's just
want to
me.
make them. They constantly complaining to you. Why is he not training more? Why is he not getting better? That type of thing, right? But I think you talk about that already, right? It's because jiu-jitsu is really just a part of it.
Yeah.
It's a small part of it, really. Right? If the kid is gonna be naturally good at jiu-jitsu,
He's gonna be good.
He's gonna be good.
Those kind of stuff. It's just like, okay, then we have to kind of like private lessons time now, or a teacher personally giving their time.
Yeah.
For the student, right? The extra time. And if I have like a world champion over here, right? I'm not going to give them as much, I'm going to help them get the class better for them, right?
Yeah.
And then try to get them to be a leader mode.
Yeah.
And then I would give them time after it because hey, I know you really want to get good, and you want to go through the subtleties, right? It would be, and then I feel like I'm neglecting you during class. I still want you to get your level up. But then it's going to be beneficial for me to give them a kind of like a one-on-one time because they kind of reached that level already, right?
Yeah.
At one point, at that kid is being in class is just pretty much
Yeah.
leveling up for the other kid and a role model for the other kids.
Right.
You kind of just have to take them away and kind of really customize their game by then. And parents who are usually like that kind of already know what they're doing with their kids.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean,
the reason they got there is because they knew what they were doing. They knew the right coach.
Right, and I think for me, I got two thoughts on that, right? So you're right. If they get into that level, and the parents are willing to make that extra investment, then they should.
Yeah.
Invest extra in doing private lessons with high-level coaches that they feel can really help the kid, right?
Yeah.
Obviously, do that.
And then if your kid is like receptive to it,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then number two is I feel like, especially with jiu-jitsu, if a parent is gonna be so concerned or so pushy about the development of your kid and want them to become world champion, especially in jiu-jitsu, I feel the parents has to train as well.
Yeah.
Right? I really don't like it when like parents don't train at all and they're just constantly like trying to push their kids to become world champions. I don't feel that it's fair.
I agree with that too. For a simple reason, if they train, like they can push their kids, and I've met that, and I've met parents that do train and push their kids, but they push their kids right because they kind of know, like something, or they're hard on their kid, technical, like they're coaching their kid too much. Some parents like, hey, actually, they know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Sometimes when I let them coach like that, to a point, but when I feel that their coaching gets away with the other kids, then I'll stop it. You know what I mean? But if they're just something that they're working on together as a father son, I don't mind that as well. Right?
Yeah.
And when I feel that, I would go coach the other kid because I also don't want to take away the bonding. It sounds so weird. It could be interpreted as like, oh, they just wanted to get good or like whatever. No, in the end, it's actually the father and the son's journey together too. You know.
Yeah.
It's like the one is to train.
Right. Because I feel like
if they train, there's a proper communication.
I feel like the parents have to understand the
suffering and the pain
suffering.
through.
Yeah,
because the parents that train know when they're coaching, they're not like making the other kid feel bad. And then the parents don't train and they're coaching. It's like, smash him, sit on him, break his arm, do all that stuff. It's like, whoa, that's my kid you're talking about. You know what I mean? That's like my son.
Like people who train would never coach like that.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they do. Some
when they've trained, they would be like, yo, watch, hey, so hey, watch where you're hipping. We've worked on it. Don't do that. And then they have every right to, because there's a communication in a project that that the parent and that trains and the kid, and it's technical, specific.
And honestly, like if I'm a kid, right? If my dad doesn't train and tries to coach me, I wouldn't have the same amount of respect anyways,
for him,
right? For him, I would be like. But if the dad trains, then there's going to be that mutual respect, right?
Yes.
And then the relationship, the bonding experience is going to be so much better that way too.
And not just that, it's a technical bonding experience. They're growing, they're having communication with each other, as opposed to like parents who don't train and just like, hey, do this. But don't get me wrong, if you want to vicariously live through your kid and you feel like you're gonna break, go send them over. I will take him.
All we're saying is like, if your kid is training,
We're talking about the two extreme parents.
I believe this wholeheartedly. If your kid is training and you're not, you're actually missing out like on one of the best bonding experience with your kids that you're ever gonna get. So, and before you know it, they're gonna have grown up, and then they may not want to ever bond with you like that ever again, right? So you're really missing out. So bring your kids. You can come and train with us, or find a academy close to you. Trust me, you won't regret it.
Great example of this, Savarian and his dad.
Great example, me and my daughter.
You and your daughter, Yeah, I remember you're like, hey, Dad, how's this move? How's that?
Yeah.
It's awesome, and you just do stuff together, right? It's great.
Yeah. Wow.
If, when I have a kid, hopefully they want to, I'll never force it, but hopefully they want to do jiu-jitsu or martial arts.
Yeah.
Right? So it's going to be a fine balance of like,
Yeah.
because I love it too much. That, I
I mean,
it's like
speaking from personal experience, right? I wanted my daughter to do jiu-jitsu when she was 5.
Yeah.
Right. She tried a class, didn't like it. I didn't push. All right. I didn't push, and then so she ended up not training. Was I disappointed a little bit? But I'm like, whatever. Maybe when the time is right, then she's gonna want to do it. I want her to want to do it, right? And not because I push her to do it, right?
Because you're just wasting your money.
Yeah. So by the time she's 10 years old, then she, out of the blue, she's like, hey, Dad, I want to start training jiu-jitsu.
Perfect.
And then I'm like, okay, cool. Remember, you made the decision to train, so you have to put in the effort. Can we agree on that? Then she's like, yeah. And then she's been training for 2 years now,
Yeah, that's good.
And I love it. Consistently training, 3 to 4 times a week. So that's awesome.
And then when she likes it more and more comfortable, you guys can go to open mats together.
Yeah.
And stuff. I see so many actually like parents, and then their kids are like teenage like now, and then they just travel together. They like traveling is more fun instead of like, oh, whatever, Dad. They like to, which gym are we gonna visit to, which whatever, and then it's just something like bond, because like after. Like it's weird. Like after a certain age, your kids become cool and they don't want to be with you anymore, right?
Right.
But if you're actually good at something or into the field that they like, right? Then traveling together will have so much more fun. I know like one of the jiu-jitsu friends, their kid is just like they're teenagers now, and then they go compete. Sometimes these kids they post, oh, my kid beat me up, but he's so happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
And then they go out,
It's
they
like
compete,
it's
they
almost
train
like a
together.
humble brag, really.
Yeah.
At that point,
And then otherwise, what else like would you be doing? There's other stuff, right? But it's good to have something other than like hanging around nothing.
Yeah.
Like we go vacation. We're forced to. But if you have something together, you're on a journey together.
Yeah,
it means so much more.
especially when you can understand each other's struggles.
Yeah.
Right. And knowing where each other is coming from.
Yeah.
That is huge.
Understanding your parents, that your kid will most likely surpass you in that journey.
I'm just waiting for the day that my daughter is gonna choke me out.
But the thing is, it depends on what kind of parent are you. Are you the egotistical one that's gonna be upset, or are you the full loving one to understand that they are supposed to surpass you? But don't let them though.
Don't make it easy.
That's
right?
the thing, right?
That's the thing.
Like,
don't make it easy.
Thanks for coaches too. Like my goal, ideally, is somewhat like my students to beat me up. But I'll never let them do that.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try my very best that they can do that.
And then when they do,
But when they do, it's gonna I'm gonna be kind of a little pissed off, but so super happy. I'm like, ugh, you cut up, you punk. Oh, but I'm so happy because I'm a part of that. Oh, I'm gonna train more, beat you up next time.
Yeah, and on that note, this has been an awesome conversation. So I think the most important takeaway is if you are a jiu-jitsu parent, train. Make sure you train. And if you're not a jiu-jitsu parent, then what are you waiting for?
Become one.
Become one. Put your kid in jiu-jitsu. Let them try it. Find a school that your kid will have fun and actually bond with the coach. So if you don't know where to go and you're here in the Vancouver, Richmond area, come
Try us
over,
out.
try us out. We're BJJ. You know?
Oh yeah, parents that do like have kids do jiu-jitsu, other than bonding, do jiu-jitsu because it's fun, and we know you wanted to do it. Because the simple fact that you signed your kid up meant you wanted to do it.
Yeah.
You just didn't have courage to do it yourself.
Yeah.
And if you want to do that, come to BJJ. We're actually the ideal school for this. All our guys, we're just new school. We're just starting, and a bunch of them are professionals and
Not professional jiu-jitsu guys, but
like working professionals, right? So we worry about safety, and because of that, we're becoming unofficial Team Dinosaur.
Oh, maybe it's official now.
Yeah, man, we are official Team Dinosaur. If you're old, come with us.
And just like that, we're going to be going back to our unfiltered conversation